I'm a border brother, man, BB, man. And our main rival growing up was the North End. That's what it was. I didn't make the rules. They knocked my homeboy down, Fito, and the war started, right? And that's what it is. It was Border Brothers versus North End. There was no Southsiders in Oakland. They came later. But anyhow, so let me tell you my experience, right, of what it was doing time with Southsiders, right? A lot of motherfuckers be saying they real, but they not real. How the fuck you real when you defected? You know what I'm saying? Okay, you can be real because you're taking care of your family, right? But as far as your background and all that, that shit ain't real. That shit washed up, right? Ain't nothing real about you, man. Cut that shit out, man. Stop saying you a real one when you really not. Nigga, I'm a real one, nigga. Anyhow, moving on. Subscribe though, man. Channel business, man. So anyhow, look. Hey, man, you already know what it is, man. Johnny the Hitman. Diesel. Let's go. Straight to it. But before we get going, bloop, bloop. Hit that notification button, man. That subscribe, man. So when I'm on, you gonna know that I'm on, right? And fuck with a real one. And when I say a real one, I'm talking about somebody that's out here taking care of business, man. Because there's a misconception. Motherfuckers talking about they real, man. You ain't real, nigga. How the fuck you real when you defected, right? You might be real because you're taking care of your family, which is cool, you know, raising your kids and taking care of business. That's a real part of life. But as far as the streets is concerned and your resume and all that, man, nah, you ain't real, nigga. You defected. You can't be real. You gone. You out of there. Right? But, you know, whatever. So, but being real doesn't mean you got to be out there, ooh, and nah. Being real just means you're true to yourself. You know, and you out there taking care of business, right? And you're just a real motherfucker, man. You ain't out there on some bullshit, right? Moving on, right? So I wanted to touch on this subject, right? What it was to do time with Southsiders, right? Because a lot of people be like, oh, why you fuck with the Southsiders and this, you a border brother from Northern California, and this and that, right? Okay, look. I've been a border brother from the gate. Since gangbanging started in the 90s in Oakland, I've been a border brother, right? And our main rival was the Northerners, right? Because the Northerners knocked down the BB and the Funk was on, right? I didn't make the rules, right? I get sent to ROP, Nevada. The first dude to ever approach me was Scarface, Antonio Salazar from Florencia 13. He approached me. He said, what's up, vato? No, he said, what's up, homie? You got pleito with these vatos, this shit? And I was like, yeah. At that time, there wasn't, my rivals hadn't made it up there yet. But it was some dudes from Tulare, man, Tony Vasquez and Juan Martinez, right, from Visalia. But because I was bald and I guess they thought I was a Sureño, right? So immediately when I get to Nevada, right, I'm not really feeling the Norteño program because I'm like we beef with these niggas on the street, right? So like, nigga, you a Northerner, so I don't like you, right? So off the rip, I'm beefing with the Northerners. And it wasn't even niggas from the East Bay, it wasn't niggas from Oakland. It was other motherfuckers from the Valley. When my real enemigas came through, I was already established, man. I was already running with the Southsiders, man. It was all love. But hold on. Like I said before, the first dude that approached me was a dude from Florencia, right? Florencia. That's how dude was a nut, right? But he was the only one dude from LA. I swear to God. It's crazy. He got busted in San Bernardino County. LA wouldn't send dudes up there. San Bernardino did. So when I was up there with so many dudes from West Side Verdugo, hella niggas from West Side Verdugo, hella raza, right? So that's where I learned camaraderie, right? Like how to be, tight and be a part of a unit, right? And one jump, we all jump, and it's a Brown thing, right? And I really wasn't feeling the racial factors, right? Because they didn't like the blacks, right? So I was like, and I've always been cool with blacks, right? You can tell by the way I talk, right? I mean, from Oakland, right? So I wasn't feeling that part of the game, right? But I had to roll with the punches, right? So I'm up there with a bunch of West Side Verdugo cats, right? And we cool, right? Little Augie, little Eddie, rest in peace, Jinxie from West Side Verdugo, nigga, Johnny Montano, nigga from motherfucking Mount Vernon, right? And that's really where I learned about Southsiders from down that way, right? I had been to LA because every summer my mom would send me down to LA thinking that would better my life, but it just made it worse. But we'll get into that later on, right? I'm talking about behind the wall. So I get to Nevada and it's nothing but West Side Verdugo cats there, and I'm programming with them, right? There ain't no Border Brothers up there. I was the only one. Then Buddy from Westside Berkeley, Los from East 7, Lil Vic from East 15, they all roll up, right? But we don't beef because it's like a military boot camp type of setting, right? So we got a program, right? It's cool. But the Southsiders had my back. They already had told me, look, these niggas trip on you. We got you rolling with us. They knew that, and they got at me off the rip because they knew I was beefing with the Northerners, right? So that's how I was like inducted into that type of program, right? And I didn't know no better. I'm a BB, I'm a border brother. I know that we beef with the Northerners in Oakland. We hadn't been laced about what to do when you go to jail, right? So I did what I thought was to my benefit. But moving on. After the whole little shit up there in Nevada ROP and being cool with West Side Verdugo, right? And like I want to say that 80% of the Southsiders were from San Bernardino, right? Colton, Fontana, and all that shit, right? I.e. Riverside and all that shit, right? That's another county, but then when I go to YA, that's when things is a little different because now it's more political, it's more dangerous. It's like, okay. So I get to YA, my first day in YA, they throw me on the Norteño side. I'm with Bubba from 38. I get into it with Bubba, we get down. That same week I go to visiting, Twin from East 15 is there. He'll tell you I got into it with some Sacramento Norteños from Broderick, nigga. In the visiting room, after visiting, we get down, boom, 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 I'm getting down, right? All this stuff that's going on, the Southsiders from Southern California are peeping all this, right? They watching all this, like, man, who's this dude from Oakland, man? Like, well, Moreno from East LA 13, Tiny Dukes, Cybo from Local Park, Chino from Paramount, Raton from Clanthorne, Scarface from Pacas, right? Which was my celly. After Dude from Fresno, Bulldog, man, legend dude's son, man.
Crackers, man, little crackers.
When I first got to NRCC, they threw me in the cell with a Bulldog, right? And then I got into it, boom, and then they threw me in the cell with some dude from Pacoima, right? Which he was one of the dudes that started a clique in Visalia, a Southside gang in Visalia, right? Scarface, he was one of the originals from up there, but he was from Pacoima, right? But moving on. So in CYA, when I get to Sacramento reception, the Southsiders had my back off the rip, right? And then when I hit the main line, I go to Cedar Preston, and then DeWitt, and then Carl Holden. Throughout the whole time, the Southsiders got my back, right? And we spread, and y'all know the whole shit, right? I'm part of the program. I'm part of the Lamfla, right? And yeah, I was cholo. I was cholo because I didn't know nothing. I didn't know no better. when I got busted around that time, it was total activity in Oakland. That whole shit changed when I got out, right? But during my whole CYA time, the Southsiders had my back, though. I ain't gonna lie. They would not let no Northerner get at me foul or you know, if I had a one-on-one with a Northerner, they'd make sure it was a one-on-one, nobody would jump in, right? So, you know, in YA, it's all about your enemigas, right? It's all about your enemy, right? If you got your enemy, you got to go get him. So, I had a lot of enemies. They got the East Bay. Nigga. My primary enemies are the Norteños from Oakland. But then Hayward, Dakota, Fremont, the whole East Bay tags along because when they go to jail, they're all together, right? So now it's not just about Oakland, it's about the whole East Bay. We're not that deep. Oakland, I mean, I'm not gonna lie, as far as Oakland, just Oakland, we were the biggest gang, the biggest Latino gang. The Border Brothers, we were deeper than all the Norteño gangs. There was no individual Northerner gang that was deeper than the Border Brothers, right? Now, if they all got together, it's a different story. But as far as like individually, no, we were deeper than everybody. We were deeper than Quince. We were deeper than Fruitville. We were deeper than 38. We was hella deep, nigga. We was deep as fuck. You know, on the street, it was different. But when we get to county, Juvenile Hall, or Santa Rita, all the other cities would back up Oakland's plate. So now it's not just about Oakland Border Brothers versus Oakland Norteños. It's Oakland Border Brothers versus the whole East Bay. Hella outnumbered. And that's when they start throwing us with the upstate Southsiders in Santa Rita. But that's something else. So, doing time with the Southsiders, right? I'm not gonna lie. I got real close with a lot of dudes up there because that's what it is, you know. And you're battle from YA. When you're in YA, you know, you find your battle, the dude that you stroll the yard with, the dude that you walk to school with, the dude that you do everything with, your handball partner, the dude that you spread with, right? And at this time, my battle was Snoopy from Southside Pasadena, Tiny Locos, right? Like this. We was like this, man. I'm telling you. And so all the Southsiders, it's a trip because they knew I was from Oakland. They knew I was beefing with the Northerners from the Bay, right? From Oakland, East Bay at that. So they had my back, you know, so they really treated me like I was one of them. They really did, right? Largo from Cantaranas, Boxer from Rebels 13, Bandit from Echo Park, Porky, Pee-wee from La Mirada, Crazy Boy from Florencia. Shout out to Crazy Boy though, man. Look, this whole time I thought he had passed away. Somebody said him and his son Andrew had passed away. But I just got a message from Crazy Boy, man. Shout out to Crazy Boy, man. Shout out to Florencia though, man. So Crazy Boy was my dog too, man. We was tight like this. We used to rap together and lift weights together, right? But my real dog was Snoopy from Southside Pasadena. Tiny Locals, you know what I mean? That's where I met Midget from El Monte Flores, and Midget ended up paroling to Oakland, and we started 39th, right? So there's a lot of history, right? But doing time with Southsiders, it was a lot. It was, I can't say it was different because I didn't know nothing else, right? From the gate, because of my enemies from Oakland being Northerners, the Southsiders threw me under their wing immediately, right? So I learned their program. I was part of the juntas. I was part of the spread, right? And you know what really made me get so close to them and appreciate them taking me under their wing was because every time we had to make a decision, they would ask me how I felt. My opinion was taken into consideration, right? And that made me feel like I was part of something, right? I'm not gonna lie. If we're having a meeting and they ask me, look, what's my take on it? Of course they're gonna feel accepted, right? I was asked about how I felt before other Southsiders were asked how they felt. Reason being is because I was getting down. Nigga, I was up there fighting, nigga. I wasn't up there, I was doing my time and everything, but I was up there fighting, nigga. You know how YA is, nigga. YA is all about, getting down. So they knew that I was the type of dude that would, I wouldn't think twice about getting down. If it's time to get down, we gotta go. If we gotta catch some time, fuck it, we gonna catch some time. We gotta get a level B, we gotta get a level B. Fuck it. And they knew that. So I damn near was right next to the shot callers. Pokey from Hawaiian Gardens, right? And Peter from La Mirada. Them dudes was so tight with me that, look, when I fought Caveman from Porterville, some people thought I won, some people thought Caveman won. Pee-wee from La Mirada thought that I lost. So Pee-wee called Caveman out to run it back for me. That's how much love they have for me. He was like, man, fuck that. You ain't gonna run it back. I'm gonna run it back for you, John. Johnny boy, that's what they used to call me, right? So Pee-wee ran it back for me. He said, you ain't gotta get down. Cause I already had got down with BB from Merced. I already had got down with a few motherfuckers, right? And it was like, man, all right, look, take a break. I'm gonna do this for you, right? So they showed me so much love in YA that I couldn't, I had no choice but to show the same love in return, right? And then when I get to prison, and I run into some of these dudes or I run into dudes from their neighborhoods, and it's like, it's always been like this, man. And so I do know the Southside program real good. And I know that a lot of motherfuckers be like, because I'm a content creator, right? And I'm not here to choose sides. I'm not here to sugarcoat nothing. If I think your music is garbage, I'm gonna tell you it's garbage, right? And, even though I've been beefing with Northerners my whole life, I know that Northerners got juice when it comes to the rap shit, right? You can tell they sound different. The delivery, the way they spit the shit, it sounds different, right? But this video is not about who's a better rapper. This video is about me doing time with Southsiders, right? So when I get to prison, I didn't know that the paisas on a level 4 were programmed with the Southsiders. I didn't know that when we went to we were on the roll call. I didn't know that. So all that played into my favor. So when I get to prison, and I got the 2 letters on me, I got BB tatted on me that I hadn't earned yet. But the OGs, Southsiders that were there, they knew what the BBs meant. They immediately took me under the wing, right? And it feels good when you get to prison and you have an OG to take you under the wing, right? Not on some manipulative type shit, because I never been the type of dude to get manipulated. I've always been sharp about my shit, right? So like in all the prisons that I've been at, like I'm a border brother, right? So when I got to prison, the border brother movement was already diminishing, right? So we had no choice but to be up under the paisas, right? So the paisas that had the yard, they were in communication with the legend, right? From the blue team, right? That's facts. So when I get to prison, and I get involved in all this political shit, right? It has to do with the blue team. It has to do with the Southsiders, right? Hot money and all that, because them dudes run the yards, right? And not to mention, there was a couple paisas that are way up there in rank. So, you know, I'm not a Southsider, I'm a border brother. However, when I've been behind the wall, the Southsiders have always looked at me like I was one of them. They've always made me feel like I was one of them. That's real talk. But it's crazy because I had so much beef with Southsiders as well, especially like the upstate Southsiders. See, when I was going through the system though, the upstate Southsiders didn't have too much pull. Now they do, because now they're so deep. And I grew up beefing with upstate Southsiders too, in the Bay Area, right? So when you go to San Quentin, you run into all of them, right? And like I said before, we had a riot with them. But what I'm trying to get at is that, look, niggas can get mad if they want to. I've got a lot of homeboys that have paroled from level 4. And all of them have been treated with dignity and have been shown a lot of respect from the Southsiders, man. The Southsiders have always showed us Oakland border brothers a lot of love. Not to mention too that a lot of Oakland border brothers have always had dope in prison. You know, we're a small fraction of the population. So a lot of motherfuckers didn't know nothing about the BBs until I came on board online and started telling y'all about all this shit, right? But let me tell y'all something, right? And we're going to end it right here. There's been a lot of border brothers on a level 4. And there's been a lot of border brothers from Oakland that are locked in with the legends, right? So the border brothers have always been looked at as the Northerners would call us. They would call us scraps. Oh, scrap us, but we're not Sureños. However, they would always, you know, treat us like if we were Sureños. But we never were Sureños. We've always been BB, border brothers, right? And in prison, it's a whole different shit, right? Just to clarify shit, right? I'm not a Southsider, homie. I'm a border brother, right? But I know that in prison, on a level 4, and in the hole, when I was going through the system, we were running a Southside program, right? And when I was in ROP in Nevada and CYA, I was in the Southside Ramfla. They had my back. Because I was like a one-man gang, right? And the border brother youngsters that came after me also programmed with the Southsiders, right? And the ones that really started all this shit was me and Yoño. Because Yoño went down to Nellis, and he was programmed with the Southsiders, right? And I went to Preston and then DeWitt, programming with the Southsiders, right? So that kind of was like the beginning of everything, right? Because there's been a few border brothers that went to YA that didn't program with the Southsiders. That was just BB Paisa, right? But anyhow, yeah, man, a lot of motherfuckers don't understand, you know, because we're from Oakland, California. They're like, man, you from Northern California. Why are you cool with them, right? That's just the way it is, man. Shout out to all the Southsiders, man. Really, like the LA car is like the LA car has really always been so cool with me, man. Like from SGV, the Sunfit car, but mostly the LA shit, like South Central, Compton, West LA, even Long Beach, man. We've been like this, man, with me, man. They've always been showing me so much love. But after LA County, it's been the 805. And I never really talk about the 805 because I really haven't spent too much time out there, but Bakersfield used to be 805, right? And I've always been tight with Bakersfield, Barrio, Colonia, Southside, all that, right? So the 805, which used to be Bakersfield, with me in CYA and in prison, we've always been like this with me. You know what I'm saying? So, but at the end of the day, I'm a border brother, right? That's what it is. But for those of y'all that don't know, that's what the program is in prison, man. Oh, you use the N-word, yeah, but hey, we're on the street, man. You ain't gonna catch me using the N-word on a level 4. Even though I have heard it, though, I ain't gonna lie, because times are changing, right? But when I was going through the system, it was crazy because, like, man, literally, Oakland border brothers, we're out of Oakland, we're Northern California, and we running with the Southsiders, right? It was a little bit of confusion from the opposition, like, wait a minute, why did these dudes from Oakland, why are they running with the Southsiders, right? But come on, man, look, BB, man, Border Brothers. That was first before Oakland. Because we're from Oakland, but, it's frontera first. That's the way it is. But anyhow, with that being said, man, I got love for all the Southsiders, right? Regardless if I be going in on y'all as far as the music and all that shit, right? But, Southsiders have always had my back in prison. We've always been cool. And I got nothing but love and respect for all the Southsiders, man. Straight up, I just wish they would step it up in that music shit, though, man, because a lot of them be sounding outdated, man. They sound like it's the 90s, though. But, hey, LA's always been cholo, man, hey. But they're coming along, right? Fuck it, hey. Whatever's gonna bring the bag in, right? Hey, with that being said, man, you already know what the fuck it is, man. John Diesel, man, I'm gone. 3900 song.